Okay. So, in general, how was your experience with the course? And some of you delivered it for the first time, right? For some of you, it was not the first time, but yes, maybe we can start with the engagement leads who delivered it for the first time. Overall impressions of the course.
Do you mean in terms of like the course content or in terms of the kind of the delivery of it and the issues around it and things like that?
In terms of the delivery of it, course content, now we will come step by step. So I'm trying to
Oh,
find
okay.
good questions actually.
I mean, we got a lot of support, didn't we, Christiana, from Sudan? So the it was really helpful having, I can't remember his name now. That makes me feel awful. But there was a guy in Sudan who was basically helping people to get online and helping them to kind of guide them through the course and stuff like that. And having that person, I don't know whether everybody else had that experience, but it was super helpful for us. And that made that part of it easier.
Mhm.
The forums, they weren't that engaged in them, were they, Cristiano? It was kind of it's always the same with forums though, isn't it? Like they don't maybe engage with it as much.
And I felt
Um
that maybe it was also a problem of how the forums were conceived a bit, if I can say that.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
I don't know whether it's actually easier because in the end they were
Okay, we will come back to this. So overall, you have received some support from the country teams. Theo,
Actually, it was interesting, Shirin, because this person, Hatim, right, Stephen? It was Hatim you were thinking about. He didn't work with the British Council. He was like an external consultant, but he knew all the participants. He was a very respected local trainer,
yeah.
and he used to work with the British Council. So Lina hired him to liaise between the two of us and the participants. It's also because, the country is still going through very difficult times. There is still conflict. People, some of them are still um, in refugee camps. We had a
Mhm.
participant who was visually impaired, but actually he was
He did really
practically
well.
blind.
Mm.
Yes, and he gave very good feedback to the course, saying that the way it was on the platform, the old way, if you say that now they're working on transferring onto the new layout. The old presentation of the course was very good in terms of accessibility, and it was very easy for screen readers to deal with it. So he dealt with everything. He loved the Zoom meetings. He said that he found them very
Mm.
easy to follow and to participate. Um, so that was, let's say, something different compared to the other projects, the fact that he was so eager to give feedback. So they really, and to be honest, I enjoy it very much, the project in Sudan and the one we are doing now together, Shirin, in Cambodia, because it's in pairs. I learn a lot from you. I like the experience of co-delivering.
Mm.
And I think it's good also for participants to see the dynamics of code delivery, a model of how this can be done, and
Mhm.
also having two different experiences in a way. I mean, you benefit from two highly trained and experienced people, which is great. I mean, it's better than having just one person doing their own thing in their own way.
Okay.
So
Also
that
getting, yeah,
for me,
different
it was,
styles,
yeah.
exposure to different
Yeah, I
styles.
agree.
So,
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree. And it's easier for us as well, but also, as you said, for the participants, it's good to see. And I co-delivered with Shireen, and for me, it was the first course. So as you said, I learned a lot from her. So it was a smoother transition, let's say. And Shireen knows that in the course we delivered it we didn't have forums, so
Mhm.
it was all in on WhatsApp, which started well somehow, but then it was so very difficult to keep track of their posts, and probably for them also keep track of what's going on. And because sometimes you would write something like an announcement, and then you would write something like a forum post or like a, like a post, like some questions. So even for us, it was a bit difficult to keep up with everything.
Gets messy easily in WhatsApp.
It gets messy at some point. Yes, as I say, started well, and then it's very difficult to go back and find the initial or the question for them. There are a lot of replies like, what happens on WhatsApp. Yeah, thank you, or yeah, great, and all this just make it a bit worse. I was surprised by, of course, we had some um, teachers and trainers with technical issues who, couldn't join the live sessions. But those who could, I was really surprised by some strong participants. Some of them were quite strong. Shireen, am I right? I think they were, very good, and they seem to be involved in a lot of other activities like training, and they were on different platforms. That was great to hear them, and they were sharing a lot of things. So yeah, I think it was a good experience, but it's the WhatsApp that, and I know it was suggested to have meetings on WhatsApp, but I don't know. uh, I think it won't be a really communication there. It will be just, probably the moderator saying things and just getting some replies, but I can't see any collaboration, any real collaboration on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So
Did you use WhatsApp for like forum-like
yeah,
discussions there
yes,
as well? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, so did
yeah.
we. Yeah, and support. So we had two channels, if you like.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds interesting. You're having a support one
Yeah,
and one only for forums. Okay,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Can
might
I
help me
can I
think
ask
roughly.
why the decision was taken not to have forums? I mean, what's the reason behind it? People still have
Probably
to access
the
the platform in order to do the course. So why not have everything in one place? I don't understand
I
this
think,
thing.
Isn't it
well, we
because
had
is
both. I
it for
think,
them to get used to using WhatsApp because
yeah,
they're going to end up using WhatsApp
But
for.
and
Stephen, for us,
facilitating.
it was the other way around.
No,
Our
I know.
participants were supposed to have their COPs on WhatsApp, and we had
Mm.
forums. So
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
strange.
it might help if they can mirror what they're going to end up using in what we use, maybe, because then it gives them a kind of
Yeah,
model to kind of reflect
yeah,
on.
yeah. So they get experience using both, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah.
purpose. I remember, yeah, because they also have regional WhatsApp groups in Sub-Saharan Africa.
It might also help. I don't know whether this will help, is because WhatsApps do get messy because maybe like the questions get forgotten, people don't reply to it, something else comes up. And I didn't know whether it might actually help doing it in a kind of time slot where you have like a 1 hour WhatsApp discussion as opposed to doing it over a period of days, which
Yeah.
is more useful for a forum because you can
Mm,
do it over a number of days because there's no interruption to the actual forum. But like if you get interruptions in WhatsApp, don't you? So it's kind of maybe having like I don't know, you'd say like I don't know, everybody on a Friday night will have a 1 hour discussion about
mm,
something to do with COPs, and then just have it and then you can provide a summary at the end, which they would then have, and then they can take it away, as opposed to doing it over the whole week.
We had participants from different time zones, quite, even
Okay.
4 hours apart. So
Yeah,
I mean, it was very
that's
difficult
difficult. Yeah.
was
yeah,
very
and if it's
difficult for live session to find.
Mm.
yeah, and if it's being assessed as well, if they can't make that time, then it wouldn't be fair
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
credit them. Yeah.
But
Okay,
if there's two moderators, then you could do two separate hours
Mhm.
potentially.
Yeah, that's a
why
nice idea. We used to have Moodle chats. Remember on Moodle, we used to have chats. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like a synchronous discussion would be nice. Yeah. Similar to what Fraser is doing in the
Yeah,
Mhm.
Fraser is doing
yeah.
something similar. Okay, so Nelson, what about you? What about your experience in general?
I think it was very general. As Suzanne gone? Yeah. Um, I think it was really good. I really enjoyed co-moderating, as Christiana said. I think it's it's more fun and more, as a trainer, you get a lot more out of the experience if you co-deliver, in my opinion. Um, it was a very strong group. I think the fact that we screened the participants, which is not something that we usually do as C moderators, but on this occasion we had to read the applications and choose the participants we thought would be the most likely to succeed. And I think that, helps a lot because our group was really strong, really motivated. They all participated. Well, most of them. We had a few dropouts, very, very few, and most of them succeeded on the pro. Most of them. I was just saying, Suzanne, that most of our Ps passed the course and went on to the second phase of the project. They're really motivated. Yeah, so it was a really positive experience.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think the screening. Sorry.
one thing I want to add after what Stephen said, sorry, my throat's going, is that we didn't really have the project manager support that much because the project manager was new to the whole thing and kind of wanted us to give her, tell her what she should be doing. So we
Yeah.
didn't have that support.
But it was the same in a way for us because in our case it was the first time they were doing the course, and we were given, if you want, a free hand at delivering the courses we wanted, which we found useful because we actually adapted both the forum discussions. I think that if we do one module per week, having more than one forum discussion is not useful. And also we adapted a bit the portfolio. In terms of how not so much sharing, it was more like individual work because there was no time in 1 week to do your task, share it, get feedback, come back. It was, we kind of tweaked it and adapted it to our context. And that guy that we had the support from, as I was saying, he didn't work with the British Council. He used to work with the British Council, and he was actually just liaising. We were just saying, these people are falling behind. He would call them, and the next day they would their percentages would go up. So that was useful in terms of that, calling them and pushing for them. But the freedom we had to adapt the course, I appreciated that. In general, I appreciate freedom to do things according to the context.
Okay.
Just to go back to what Nelson said about the selecting of the participants, I think because we did that as well, didn't we, Christiana? So that was, I found it helpful because it meant that they know that they've been selected, so that they're more likely to put kind of effort into it and things like that, rather than people that just get given a course.
Yeah. 1 week, Nelson. We had 1 week per module.
Week. Oh, okay, because ours was 2 weeks.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about this. So when we initially started the course with Suzanne, let's welcome Graham because now
Yes.
this is the next question on the agenda. Okay.
Hi, Graham.
We cannot see you.
I'm tempted to say, why so blue?
Hello. The same thing happened yesterday with Zoom. I don't know why. I think it's the camera. It's not recognizing my integrated camera, so I need to change to an external.
There you are.
Now you see me?
Yes. We can see you.
No, you don't.
No, we don't.
I'm sorry I couldn't get here earlier. I was stuck in another meeting.
No worries. We just had
Overrun.
a brief chat about how it goes, but yes, now we shared our general impressions about the course, and the first thing actually I wanted to ask you, I was just saying when we started this course with Suzanne in MENA region, we delivered it one module per week. But then in another cohort with Theo, because of the people's lack of connection or connectivity issues, we designed it as per module for 2 weeks. But it can be designed in 1 week periods as well. But I want to ask for your opinions because in the sub-Saharan Africa, they even ask for more time. But I think more than this would lose momentum. Less than this, how was your experience with that? So yeah, what about your experience? From your experience, what timeline and pacing would work best for this course?
It
I
depends.
think two
Yeah, go
weeks
on,
for
Sue.
one module was really good. It gives them time to sort of really delve into the subjects. And
I think
I
it's
mean,
also
maybe we were lucky on our group because they were very involved in the forums and they supported each other and they
Yeah,
really got into the forum discussion. So that 2 weeks really worked well for them.
mhm,
yeah. I was just
I
going to
agree.
add that I think doing it in 1 week can be quite intense, and I don't think that really maps onto what a COP is meant to be. So yeah, maybe the kind of 2 weeks is probably better. And even if you, because then if you're doing 2 weeks, maybe you could do a live meeting one of the weeks, and then the other week is when
Mhm.
you could do the WhatsApp, the
Yeah,
like hour discussion or whatever, just to kind of, it could be in the same time slot if you see what I mean, because then it would make it easier to do that.
I think that
Sorry,
no,
Taya.
no problem. I think that well, we had 2 weeks for each module, and I think that even if, of course, it depends on the whole, schedule, but even if we have like 2 weeks for the where they have tasks, and give them enough time to do the practical thing, I mean, they can't do it in one week, right? So I think it worked well for us with 2 weeks. Overall, it tends to be a bit long, but as you said, if you want to, go into some practical um tasks, it's quite impossible. And we had some very busy because we saw them, having webinars on different platforms, are very busy trainers, so they had a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I think it worked well with 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah.
Christiana?
I have had experience of both 1 week and 2 weeks. 1 week in Sudan, 2 weeks in Cambodia. In general, I have become more and more convinced that what in psychology they call Parkinson's law functions very well, which means that you finish a task in the time allocated to it. Whatever time you give yourself, this is when you finish it just before. So, as I said, with Stephen, we had to adapt for Sudan. We adapted the portfolio, and we said 1 week per module, but actually we gave them extra time at the end to finish the portfolio, Stephen. And we needed more time because that is also something that is worth discussing, I think, the time we put into this, because with portfolios, you really need to read carefully, give them feedback so that they can actually apply those plans, the needs analysis, everything that they plan there. It shouldn't be just something they write for the sake of the course, but something that they should apply. So we give them very practical and focused feedback. If we were to do it exactly as it is written, with 2 or 3 forum discussions per week, then definitely 2 weeks. And I really like Stephen's idea of doing maybe two synchronous events, but in different ways. And we see that working. Shireen is great at, she's in charge of the delivery. We co-deliver, but she's in charge of the delivery of the course in Cambodia. And she comes up with a new task in the second week. She pushes them to explore the resources that we add. So yeah, there is more time. Do they use it to the fullest? That's another thing. So that's why I'm saying that it's a bit strange. I feel that sometimes people brace themselves like, okay, 6 weeks of the course, I'll push myself, I'll make an effort and I'll finish. And if you say 12 weeks, that's 3 months, and like, they might lose momentum after the first few weeks. So I don't know. There are pros and cons for each model. Definitely, if they are really keen, the 2 weeks are really good. The 2 weeks per module are really good because you can explore further.
Do you think a combination of both would be too
Maybe for some of the
messy?
module where there is no task
Yes, this is
for
what
the
I meant.
portfolio, maybe, yeah, why not?
So that it doesn't stretch
And it
over
depends a bit
much
on the
longer
type of
period.
project, because
Of
with
course.
Shirin in Cambodia, we had months before we started to do needs analysis. We did focus groups. So there was a lot of work before the course started. So the course was very much informed by all the research we did before. And after we finished the course, we will have mentoring, which was not part of the course Stephen and I did in Sudan. So it's going to be interesting also to see how that works.
Mm,
And probably that's the best model to apply, to have
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
to kind of see how they apply what they planned and guide them and support them.
Mhm.
Is there just with the other longer projects, when you did the portfolio task, was it staged so that they did a kind of
Yes.
first submission, you
Yeah.
gave comments, and
Yeah.
then they,
Yeah.
okay,
Exactly.
fair enough then, good.
Okay. So, all right. So this is something we need to consider again. But yeah, depending on the course. But yeah, for the course content, as I mentioned, now there will be, I mean, this reversioning. But yeah, what content is most useful, do you think? Any content that you felt less relevant or outdated from the modules, if you
Just
remember?
just a word before, Shirin, if I may, about the reversioning. Before the reversioning, we decided there are so many models and so much feedback on this course that it would be worthwhile getting someone in to consolidate it all, review it all, and to actually come up with recommendations before the reversioning actually takes place. There's another reason for that, is that we have a lack of people who can do the reversioning. So we're having trouble at the moment finding people who can do the reversioning on Rise 360. So there's no point in putting out a call for people to do it if we don't get the people to do it. So we thought, rather than not do anything, the best thing to do would be actually to try and consolidate all of this focus group information, surveys, look at the different models, and come up with a kind of suggested the things that you've been talking about, to actually say, well, actually, it makes sense doing it in one particular way, or no, the flexible model works. These are the kind of things you should do, and this is how you should organize it when it comes to reversioning it. So that's where we're at the moment. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea to have somebody who's not been involved in it to have a look through, and they might just spot something that, nobody else has spotted. It's always a good idea, I think.
And also, Nelson, Suzanne, you added some new things like case studies. So, did you identify these as missing in the course content, or what other things? If you can tell us about those, because it was really helpful as far as I remember. It was not case studies of COPs, but what they can use with their teachers, right? So,
It was very much based on the needs analysis, wasn't it, Suzanne?
Yes.
I think one of the strengths of the course is that we had to design the forum tasks and the live sessions, so it's not something that's standardized, but it's very much tailored to their needs and their context. So that was Suzanne's idea. Actually, I thought it was very good to kind of give them something to discuss that came out of their needs analysis. So it's very much context based. Whereas then the other discussions were a bit more about, COP facilitating in general, and then they also had the more context-specific discussions.
okay. In the forum, right? These were parts of the forum posts you had.
Sometimes they were in the forum, sometimes in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the participants took turns facilitating both spaces. So some weeks, some of them facilitated the forum discussions, and other weeks they facilitated the WhatsApp group. So they all had a chance to take on the role of facilitator.
Okay. So about this also, about also connected to the portfolio, what we did initially with Suzanne, so during this course, this portfolio element that they need to submit, in MENA region, when we first did this, we asked them to set up a pilot COP, and they actually planned the COP, submitted their plan, and they brought a small group of teachers together, piloted a real COP, and then reflected on this. So this final task in the portfolio was actually something they really implemented. They received feedback from their pilot COP, and then they presented. But in Sub-Saharan Africa, if you remember too, I asked this, but it was not really, taken by the project managers. I mean, maybe they didn't understand it, but then we planned it like only a plan on the paper, not a real pilot COP. And they submitted the plan, and then they submitted how they would measure their COP, but it was not piloted. So in Cambodia, however, we will have the real COPs after the course ended. So there are different models, really. In some countries, no piloting or no real COPs. In some others, there are different models. What do you think about this? I mean, having this pilot COP, maybe Suzanne, you can compare your experience with MENA and Kazakhstan, or maybe any other reflections on this. Thanks, Nelson.
Yeah, I mean, we're just about to start, mentoring participants in their when they're starting their COPs. So this is definitely new from MENA. From MENA, when we did the MENA, it was more like a course for me, and then they went off to do something, separate after the course. But this feels like it's really sort of, continues on with the support. I think it's a really good way to use the course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, because I mean that's one thing that I was thinking about with the Sudan one that me and Christiana did, because it basically just kind of ended.
Yeah.
And they do need, I think, that kind of post-course support where maybe you get added to a WhatsApp group where you're added to the COP that they are creating. And then as they're doing it, you can give them little bits of feedback and support them through the use of that WhatsApp. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's hard for us to, because in Sudan, I think most of the meetings were like face to face. They weren't Zoom meetings, were they? So it's hard for us to kind of
They
give.
wanted a combination, I think, in the end, and they selected only the best participants. We were asked to nominate those who were most active and
Yeah.
who showed that they acquired the facilitator skills in order to be supported to set up their own communities of practice. Can I just go back to the content because we were discussing the content? I feel that the course is nicely paced and it has a nice development from one topic to another. What I feel is missing is real testimonies from people who are members of a COP because and this is where probably the moderator selection is important. People who actually have been part of COPs, who are passionate even about the topic. Because it's one thing to listen to a recording. I was just looking at module 2 and module 4. You have recordings of teachers talking about something, but they are actors. You can clearly tell that those are not real people actually talking about that, and that it's a script that they read out. So having some sorts of testimonies makes the whole experience real, because otherwise they're like, because you say so, should I believe you just because you say so? And what Shireen and I have been doing, because we've had this benefit of time in Cambodia, we included in the live sessions testimonies from the tags in Romania. We shared our own experiences. Shireen shared about her experience with online COPs. So for them, it becomes real. It's like, okay, so these people know what they're talking about because they've been doing this for a while. And it's not just a course they deliver, it's something they believe in and something that they live. It's not just a theory they provide. So I think this kind of practical thing can be added either, I mean, with what we can, right? The live sessions and the forums, something that would demonstrate this actually works. I mean, when you see a video with teachers who've been running their COP for 7 years without any kind of support in the last 4 years, it's proof that these communities of practice can work and they can be very successful if these people choose to meet for 3 hours once a month. So it's kind of compelling. You feel like, okay, so if other people can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
It's
we
not
did
just
the
theory.
same. Yeah, we did the
Yeah.
same now in the course, because we have examples from Romania, as you said, and my association and Shireen also had examples. And as you said, it makes it real. And I think we had a few participants, Shireen, who actually had some COPs, right, in the course. So as you said, it made it real when they were giving examples of, yeah, this is what I did. I'm struggling with this. It was just hypothetical, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
useful.
So these are all, yeah, and we have now some groups of people who have done this course in East Asia, for example. There was seed funding, so the COP leaders received seed funding from the British Council to set up a COP. And now last week they met actually face to face to share their experiences. And what was interesting from the project managers, not all plans that they submitted, as part of this course were realized. So, I mean, something was really good on the plan, but when it came to real experience, some of them failed. And so we will reflect on these, what didn't work, what can be improved for next time. And also maybe some of these stories can be helpful for others as well. I don't want to say it's a failure, but, learning from our mistakes or experience. So what can we do to support them in the future? Because it's not easy really to run a COP. If it's too ambitious, then maybe some other factors. But what are these factors? So we will find out this, and maybe if those people from Cambodia or some other countries Kazakhstan will be willing to share video testimonial for the course. So
Exactly.
definitely.
That would be nice to show the real impact of the course.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't have everything being positive. Like, oh, I started it and it went fantastic and there was no problems. It can't be
Of
like
course.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we should collect these learning points as well. If you remember anything else, we can always come back to the content. For the portfolio, anything you think we should change or improve in the future? How meaningful were the portfolio tasks in helping them connect with the COP principles?
Shirin, I told you before from the very beginning that I wasn't very keen, and from what we could tell, participants were not very keen on doing something individually in their own document, their own work, and then sharing it with everybody. I think that is a bit redundant, especially the task one, which is sort of reflection, identifying your strong points. Not every reflection should be a private process, and if they want to share, fine. If not, that should also be fine. I don't think that there should be a requirement to share their personal perspective on their teacher training with others. That can be very well done in the document submitted, receive feedback from the moderator, and that's it. Because otherwise it feels like forced to be like a group activity. They collaborate on so many other things. Why collaborate on reflection?
Yeah.
If sometimes that works in some cultures, people actually reflect better together. In others, it's considered a very private thing and they don't feel comfortable sharing. So I don't like that. Also, the second one, the task 2, part 1, why should they share their plan? I mean, they already receive feedback. If they receive conflicting feedback from different people, they might be even get confused. So we either select, say, you will receive, I don't know, 2 or 3 plans and you can give feedback. But for everybody to give feedback on everything, I don't see the point.
No. Okay, I see. Okay. So, but yeah, you mean sharing the plan with others and getting feedback?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
not from the moderator. Okay. Yeah. What about the feedback mechanism twice? Because they submit, we give them feedback on their plan, and then they submit how they measure success. So dividing into some parts. What do you think about this? Does it work?
I wasn't sure why it's one document with 3 different things. Why don't we have 3 separate documents?
Yeah, it
We
made
submit it in the end, right?
made it a bit complicated even for us to keep track of what was going on.
That's what I felt as well. So yeah, what do you think?
Having 3 portfolio tasks, task 1, task 2, task 3, each one a separate document. It's easier to give feedback to. It's easier to find. It's clearer in terms of organization.
You mean submitting in the very end?
No. Even if you submit it gradually, but have 3 separate documents, why have everything in one document?
I think it's
If you
because you know, as a moderator, you see the whole, yeah, because this is what I thought at the beginning, but then, you know, you can see the whole process and everything.
Yeah, because how they measure success is connected to the plan. So if you don't know
Yes,
what
you
their
don't have the plan.
aims
I know
in the
it's
plan, so it has the aims of the COP, the participants, and then, you know, you
and
need
what about submitting everything at, oh no, because if they submit everything at the end, then they don't
They
have
don't
any
receive
feedback.
feedback.
Yeah,
Exactly.
sure.
Well, at least task 1, which is not related necessarily to
Mhm.
task 2,
Yeah, yes, we
that
can
one
then
in one
separate them.
document. Yes.
Because
Yeah,
it's also
I think it worked
important.
fine in separate documents. I think that's, you know, I don't think that's a problem really. I think the original idea was that they'd have a portfolio with everything together, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's necessary really.
I think that they might have, as you said, the first task, which is not connected to the portfolio,
Mhm.
and to
Yeah.
the separate, and then the other, and you know, we can always delete and update it. They don't need two separate places in the course, you know, to submit.
Mm-hmm.
It'll
Yeah.
keep the same. It will keep the same place,
Mm.
but you just submit a new document where you add something. You know, you can submit more in the portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Only
Do you
if
know
you
what I
delete the
mean?
previous one.
You can submit. Sorry?
Only if you delete the previous one. Otherwise,
No.
you cannot.
Okay.
Add task 2. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the first task. So that it's not in two different documents and two different places.
I don't know.
Okay, let's keep these for share. I mean, we will. Graham, am I correct that if we work with a consultant, this consultant will look at all course components, right? So we will have a chance to share our.
Yes, and any focus group or any feedback we can provide for them to go through as well with recommendations, or like this recording, if you want to provide that for them, we can look at, or transcript, etc.
Okay, so but it's definitely worth separating these task 1 and then task 2 is all about COP component. Task 1 is TSAT, so looking at their strengths, but not sharing it with others, but as an individual task. Okay, we also discussed forums briefly, so, and having alternative spaces WhatsApp. So we shared that in different projects we used both forums or WhatsApp in different ways. And I really like the idea of using WhatsApp more strategically for maybe for a specific time periods, like on week 2,
Sorry.
having a discussion on WhatsApp idea that Stephen shared.
And I also like the idea Nelson mentioned, like having two WhatsApp, one for, you know, announcements only, and the other for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if they are not going to have their COPs on WhatsApp, I don't see the point of having the WhatsApp. First of all, it's not really fair for us because we're using our personal numbers. We don't have work phones. And you know very well that it can happen that participants call you to ask you at any odd hours of the night to ask you things, or by mistake. Sometimes there are calls in the group, they push the wrong button, and it's just not really useful. And on the other hand, for safeguarding issues, I don't think it's fine to spread the course onto many platforms. We have a perfectly good platform, well, not perfectly good, but reasonably good platform on ecom. Let's use it. I mean, why should participants know that they have to be on four platforms in order to deal with the course? The course should be in one place, on one platform. It's safe, it's easy to access, it's easy to monitor, even for us. I don't see the point of having WhatsApp groups, and I've been saying this for years now. If we were given phone owns by the British Council, yeah, fine. But otherwise, it's pretty difficult to manage this. Theo had years ago a participant from India calling her to introduce her to the family. So you never know.
Yeah, I find the WhatsApp quite demanding because, you know, most of British Council courses have taken WhatsApp
Now,
on board
if you remember a
now,
few years
yes.
ago, nothing, and now it's the norm, and it came out of
Right.
nowhere, and it's not in the contracts most of the times.
No.
Yeah, and
That's a very
sometimes I'm waking up in the morning looking at my phone and there's 20 WhatsApp messages. And as you say, people contact you individually because then it's easy for them to contact you individually.
Exactly.
So
And you're
then it
like,
gets
what
more
group are you
stressful.
from?
Yeah, where are
What
you?
country? Who are you?
Yes, exactly, yes.
it's a good point, I think, because there are privacy issues with whatever platform you use, but in particular, if personal data like telephone numbers or email addresses are shared, then that could cause problems. With WhatsApp, I think you can't not, as a forum where you can't not share your telephone number if you join a
No.
group, etc., a community. So that's a good point. It's the first time I've heard someone say that, Christiana. So
Oh, I've
that's
been saying this for years, Graham.
Yeah,
and
we've been
nobody
saying
listens to me.
interesting. I think it's come to pass that many courses have adopted WhatsApp because it's become a kind of popular thing to do, and there's a lot of demand from a lot of participants for
But
it.
I know why it became like this, because before the local teams had these WhatsApp groups just for sending out announcements. And then when, as you very well know, with all the problems British Council had, they no longer had the people to deal with them. So they passed them on to us. But I repeat, without any concern for our safety, for our time,
Yeah.
there is nothing usually in the contracts about this.
it was
And it's very time consuming and it's not good for the participants. You cannot have,
Yeah.
you cannot follow a discussion. This is what we were discussing before you arrived. You
and they
post
focus on
something,
WhatsApp instead of the course.
yes, they think this is it. It might be even
Yeah.
confusing. You know, I participated, I did my task. No, the task is on the platform. Oh, there's
It's a
another
bit
platform.
surprising. Yeah, it's a bit surprising how we couldn't use Zoom and we can use WhatsApp.
And also, I think project managers also should know more about this because in our course in Sub-Saharan Africa, it was in our contract. So we were asked not to use the forum, but WhatsApp instead. And we used it wisely, I think. But on the other hand, it's Graham, we discussed this briefly. It's not easy to track conversations because it's mostly for sharing ideas, not discussing things.
It's not
Yeah.
a discussion.
It disappears too quickly. So there are lots of reasons why perhaps WhatsApp isn't the appropriate to use for this type of course, unless, as you say, Christiana, the CoPs
You're
that
going to have
someone is
exactly.
going to create uses WhatsApp or Telegram.
Yeah, something to remember.
Telegram's even worse, though.
Oh,
I said the same, but I was on mute.
I deleted it from my phone because it's just it's awful.
Even worse, as in, for what reason?
You just get it's well, I mean, obviously you get lots of notifications and things like that, but it has so much extra kind of random stuff that comes to you, and like people, I don't know, I've had random people getting in contact with me on Telegram that don't
Have
get
you?
in contact, and that just constantly happens on
Because they
Telegram,
don't
but it
need a
doesn't.
phone number.
and getting notifications about everyone in your list who joins Telegram.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do I care?
Yeah,
Who joins
that's
Telegram?
the pain about Telegram.
Mm.
It is used by some countries because they don't either they don't have access to WhatsApp,
Yeah, I know.
or because WhatsApp is US based.
Well,
they
Signal's
want-
slightly better
Yeah,
because
and
Signal's
that's why it's used
more
so-
protected because you've got to put in
Steve,
codes and stuff like that.
Don't give
but-
people ideas, please.
No.
So I'll work with Cuba and Venezuela, for example. We use Telegram and not WhatsApp because we can't use WhatsApp. But I was once part of, just very briefly, I'll tell you, I was once part of a conference in Cuba where there were something like 3,000 teachers invited to participate in the conference, and the conference was run through Telegram. because Telegram allows you to have like
Mm.
thousands of people in the same group, which WhatsApp doesn't allow you to have. And it was fascinating, but I was inundated for a week afterwards by personal
had the same
messages.
We had
experience.
the same. I think we
Theo
were
and
in
I
the
did
same.
the same
We were in the
in
same
Cuba,
conference.
and it was.
Oh
And it
no.
doesn't happen only there. Look, Stephen and I did a course on motivating activities for primary. Stephen, I'm sure that you still receive the same pictures and videos from classroom activities from the same few people. And, you know, I don't mind in particular. I turned off all notifications from WhatsApp. But how safe is it? I don't know who this person sends these videos with
Yeah.
kids, young kids in his class doing all sorts of activities. It's not okay. It's a
No.
whole can of
There are
worms that we
definitely
open there, and that's what I'm
safeguarding
saying.
issues.
Yes, it's keeping things related to the courses on
Yeah.
one platform controlled by the BC. Should be the norm.
It's a very good point. Very good point. I think using channels such as Telegram or WhatsApp should be the exception, not the norm, and based on kind of considered things like if it's a COP leadership sport course where the participants are going to be using WhatsApp, then that's fine. If not, then we don't need to
Yeah,
use it.
there's no reason
Use
really.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can create their own WhatsApps. But we don't have to be involved in it.
You don't have to be involved in it.
Yeah.
They can create, any participants in a course can get together and create a study group. That's
Yeah.
up to them. Whatever
Mm.
platform they choose to use, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be official or
Yeah.
involve the tutors.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much for this. Okay. Finally, what about the workload as an engagement lead on this program? Was it realistic for you? Because there were also different models in this course. When compared to other courses, what do you think?
I think it depends on the model that the course is presented. For instance, I felt that the time and the related payment that Stephen and I got was fair for the amount of work we did. But on the other hand, I told you yesterday, Shireen, I feel that we are putting so much work, so much more work into Cambodia with everything before, during, and after the course. And the payment is almost the same. And it doesn't feel fair. I have the same thing that I also told Purbani about mentoring. These things, like CEO, it's training of trainers, isn't it, in a way? So it's specialized training, and it shouldn't be, first of all, either the payment rate shouldn't be the same as moderator because it's not the same kind of work. If it's just delivery, fine. But if you go into mentoring and sharing resources that you developed or from your experience, it's not exactly the same thing. And on the other hand, the number of hours. I think, Shireen, we finished our hours in the Cambodia project when we started the course. Just the amount of time we put into needs analysis and focus groups and reports. By the time we started the course, we were done, and we still have half a year to go. So it doesn't feel fair somehow in terms of the kind of work and how the work is recognized, if you want. It's also the workload in some projects. I mean, I repeat, what Stephen and I did was perfectly fine. It was kind of intense, but short. The hours were there, fine. But here, I feel that we are doing so much more, and it's expected so much more from us. We have monthly meetings and reports and communication on all sides. It's like a huge thing, and we paid almost like for a regular course of 5-6 weeks, and it's for a year.
That started a long time ago and will end of June, so quite intensive.
Yeah, I think that's important to hear actually, because that kind of thing, I think it's better to have things calculated and made sort of explicit. So in other words, on a contract or statement of work, etc., to have a breakdown of the amount of hours that you're expected to spend on various aspects, including meetings, focus groups, needs analysis, etc. To have that broken down, and then what you're expected as part of the attention to the course participants as well, and that should be calculated based on experience of the course as well. That is realistic. That's important because if not, then anyone who is tutoring a course or moderating a course, whatever the course is, you are not exactly sure about how much you should or shouldn't do, and it is possible always to spend much more time on a course than is allotted, both as a learner and as a tutor. And I think it's almost it's a difficult thing because it's a flexible thing that depends on the participants as well sometimes. So sometimes the participants are a lot more demanding than others as well. So it's a difficult thing to gauge, but at least if it's explicit, then you kind of know what to expect a lot more, and you don't feel, it's important that you don't feel that you're not being paid for the work that you're doing.
And in terms of that, I don't know whether this happened with you, Shirin, but when I've done other projects for SSA, they usually break it down very clearly into the days, the amount of days that you're meant to spend on each aspect of the project that you're doing. And that was super helpful for me when I've done other SSA projects.
Well, this was in place, but when I brought this up, the response was use it as a professional development opportunity, kind of, But then because
that's a very BC response.
It's not just a BC response. It's a very response in today's world. Oh, you should. We're not going to pay you. You should just do it for free because it's good for your professional development. It definitely isn't specific to the British Council. And defending the British Council does tend to try and pay people for the work that they do. And if we do listen, I think, and respond to feedback when people like yourselves today are saying, well, actually, perhaps that isn't being done in the way it should be done. Whereas with other organizations, perhaps they don't.
I think it was also piloting, this course. It was
fair enough.
Very clear.
If you're piloting something, it's very difficult to estimate how much time is involved. Obviously, when it comes to estimating how much time to do a course as well, you obviously have the constraints. Well, if we put in too many hours for tutoring, then the cost is going to be prohibitive, so nobody will be able to afford to run it. So there's always that balance between giving the tutor and the learners enough time, contact time, and trying to design a course that actually is affordable for the countries that are running it. It's not an easy thing to do, but we definitely don't want to. We definitely don't want to underpay people or expect tutors, as a matter of course, to do more hours than they think they should be doing. That's not a good way of running anything.
Stephen and I had a funny experience. I will not mention the country, but we thought that it was a mistake in the call, and we ended up being paid for 6 hours for a course that lasted more than a month. And when we asked, and I said, I listed the things that I did only in the first week, and it was more than the hours for the whole month. And I said, you were not asked to do that. I'm like, okay, then I will stop doing it. No worries. It's fine. I will do the bare minimum then if this is how we.
But it's difficult. It's a difficult situation for a tutor to be in because you obviously, you want to do a good job, and
Exactly.
you see what needs to be done in order to do a good job, but then you kind of compare that with what you're being paid to do, and quite often there are there are people who will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to sort of say, to my knowledge, I don't think it's definitely something. It's not something the British Council want to do or would purposefully do. I think it's important to kind of bring it up and address them. So that's another thing we can get the consultant to look at. There are kind of maybe some guidelines. So in other words, we can look at, right, the minimum. You're running a minimum course, and this is the tutor time, and this is the responsibilities of the tutor. And you're not expected to do anything above and beyond that. And then a more sort of intensive course, and you can kind of make that clear to the tutors who are applying for it, but also make it clear to the people, the project managers who are setting it up, and to the course participants.
I think the issue is, and I raised that issue in that project, and they went back and asked Monica and Purvani about this, because there are some guidelines, and this is where most of the confusions come up. And Monica told me that if we had the same problem years ago, project managers, especially new ones, don't understand the guidelines. And they do it, for instance, for live sessions, they pay us 1 hour for delivery without any thought that we actually have to come up with materials.
Yeah.
And they don't understand these things, and they look at the model provided and they don't understand it. They apply it in an incorrect way. So when I told Monica said, anytime this happens, please write to me and I will explain to people. In that particular case, when we complained about the number of hours that we were paid, they hadn't budgeted for the extra hours, so they just cut the live sessions, because we were supposed to deliver 4 live sessions and in 6 hours, 4 live sessions, forums, admin work, everything, 6 hours. So
yeah, it's important to
some
actually
clarity would be good.
Yeah, to do that. So I think this is something that sounds like needs to be addressed in this course.
And also, when compared to LPACT or other courses, maybe LPACT is an example because it's the one closest to this course in terms of being for teacher educators. So I haven't delivered LPACT, but maybe you can help me with this. There is not mentoring provided, or not a portfolio feedback process, right? It's providing
lighter.
feedback,
It's
but
definitely
it's
lighter.
yes. Here, I feel like more like a consultant to the project teams, to the countries, providing support. Like, for example, we meet every month with the Cambodia team, discussing, giving them guidelines, guidance, like about how COPs should be structured or what should be avoided. So this is not happening in LPACT. We are only delivering course materials, but in this course we mapped the whole course based on needs analysis, and we are just considered as engagement leads, but actually I think it's more than this. It's more like consultants. So maybe the fee, hourly fee, should be also not the same with or maybe something else. I don't know. Something else needs to be considered.
So that's the other thing you've said. Terminology is something that I'm currently looking at as well, because there's the term engagement lead, moderator, tutor, trainer. They're all used interchangeably, and I think they should be very much defined, and then also the experience needed for each role defined as well. So in other words, an e-moderator for me is someone who's not even necessarily a teacher.
True.
Someone who moderates a forum on Facebook doesn't need to be a teacher or a teacher educator. They can just, respond in chat with a set of guidelines of pasting in sort of information or things. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be a teacher, depending on the forum, etc. But with obviously something like ACT, LPACT, or CoP LS, you want someone who, I'm starting to use the term tutor. So the idea of adopting this word as tutor is because it's, especially if somebody's giving more individual attention to the participants, a tutor may well act in the role of a mentor. It may well act in the role of a trainer, depending on the circumstances, the group and the course, etc. That's what I'm kind of plumping for at the moment. So it'd be good to hear your feedback. Engagement lead is just a term we have of all of the people that we have together in our community that we can call upon to offer them work or provide training for, our engagement leads. It's a term that doesn't exist outside of, I think, I'm right in thinking outside the British Council. It was invented for that. Trainers is a term we tend to not use unless it's related to very specific training. Teacher educator is the more general, better one, because a teacher educator does more than just train people. Training tends to be down and transmissive, whereas teacher educator can involve all sorts of things. So those are the kind of things that I think will help as well, because then when it comes to contracting people and also giving teacher educators, for example, the understanding of what we expect from them, it becomes clearer.
I'm very happy to hear you say that, because as I was saying, this is very specialized kind of work we're doing here. But it's the same for mentoring and for these courses. The hourly fee is the same as delivering any course, as you said, or moderating any kind of community or forum. It's the exact same hourly rate, and it doesn't feel fair in terms of just the ethics of work.
Yeah, that's the next thing we need to look at. But definitely, I think the first stage is identifying the skill set and using the correct term for the people we need for each of the courses, etc. I think it's important, because they're used interchangeably, and it's like, okay, hold on a minute. You can't really, you're not looking for the same type of experience of someone who's just moderating a live chat in a webinar to someone who is tutoring an ACT or a CoP leadership support group.
That's true.
And don't get us wrong, we are not ungrateful or anything.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Let me just explain. Over the summer, I had only exams, and in spring as well. After the 1st of April, when they froze all contracts with collaborators, there were no projects, and I had only exams. It's good money, but when I started doing teacher training again in autumn, I watched my first recording and I was beaming. I was like smiling. This is the kind of work that I really love. I am trained to do it. I worked for it. And I enjoy doing. And it's not like we don't understand that special circumstances may appear and we may be underpaid. And we put in all the work with great joy and even, with commitment. But on the other hand, when it's possible, if we can balance things out and be fair towards the contractors, that would be really highly appreciated.
Of course, I understand. I don't. I think there are lots of things to be addressed. The question is, like, some of the things that things like changing the rates or paying people more, sometimes are often out of our hands. But at least I think the first step is recognizing the skill set and using the right term for someone based on their experience, because then you're also not doing, when we're going to employ someone and putting out a call, we want to get the people with the right experience for that call. So having the right pool of people with that experience identified is important. But then obviously you shouldn't pay someone who isn't a teacher or a qualified or experienced teacher educator the same as someone who's could be anybody just facilitating a Facebook chat.
Okay, thank you so much, Graham, and thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your ideas, suggestions. So we'll probably we'll ask more when the time comes to improve the course delivery. At least the consultants who will work on this course might need more information. So
yeah, it would be good to get like a survey to look, at certain things in particular and go deeper. That would be nice.
I hope. Yeah, thank you for this. It's just the beginning, but yes, it's such a great course overall. So I really enjoy it. It's open to creativity in all means. So in the countries are also getting more and more involved, and they need maybe more training, Graham, on what the COP is. So this is maybe something we can also do for training the country managers, not just COP leaders, about what the COP is, how is it different. So maybe this can also be helpful in the long term, but we will definitely we are willing to contribute to this course.
And it's really nice that it's co-delivered. I insist on that. I opened with that. I'm going to finish with that. The fact that we work in pairs, it's so nice, and we know each other. We've known each other for years now, right? We've been working together for quite a long time. But it's so enriching for us and for the participants. They benefit a lot from seeing, first of all, a model of co-delivery, and then to see two people with different styles, with different dynamics. That's very enriching for them as an experience as well.
Yeah, that came up in the feedback from the group that me and Nelson did. They actually mentioned that they thought that we were a good model of how they can work together with somebody. So that was really nice to see. And I really loved working with the group. The group were fantastic. They were really the most enthusiastic teachers, and they just couldn't wait to get started.
Like you. That's great to hear. Yeah, the selection is really the key. So
thank you very much for setting this up, Shireen, and thank you very much, Graham, for letting us.
Thanks for your participation. It's been very interesting.
Thank you.